And we begin our first segment of Your World, where Israel carried out a deadly bombardments across Gaza Strip early Tuesday, killing more than 400. Meanwhile, EU Council announces donors pledge 5.8 billion euros in aid for Syria. Here's the report.
Surprise airstrikes across Gaza Strip began early Tuesday, inflicted further hardship on locals amid an ongoing struggle. As Israel vowed to intensify attacks if Hamas did not release hostages still held in the enclave, many Gazans were still in panic, grappling uncertainty about what might come next. The attacks came amid indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas regarding the next step of a truce. The strikes broke nearly 2 months of ceasefire and raised fears of fully reigniting the 17-month war. Still from Gaza, with almost no cash left in Gaza, e-wallet programs implemented by humanitarian aid groups allow Palestinians in Gaza to use aid on their terms. But as OCHA's Olga Cherevko warns, this type of service will only be useful as long as supplies are available and affordable. The halt on the entry of supplies by Israeli authorities for now more than 2 weeks is resulting in market prices going up, while quality and the variety of products, especially fresh produce, is going down. Meanwhile, European Council announced Monday international donors pledged 5.8 billion euros in aid for Syria. The European Union hosted the 9th edition of the Brussels Conference, Standing with Syria, meeting the needs for a successful transition in Brussels on Monday. Amid renewed hope and significant challenges after the fall of the Assad regime, EU, alongside EU member states, regional and international partners, as well as Syria's transitional authorities, reaffirmed support for inclusive, peaceful, Syrian-owned and Syrian-led transition. From Taiwan, U.S. representatives indicated President Donald Trump's administration will support Taiwan's plan to bolster responses to China's espionage. Director of the American Institute in Taiwan, Raymond Green, spoke at an international forum in Taipei on Monday, along with Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te. Lai said Taiwan will strive, alongside with its partners in democracy, to respond to the threats and challenges posed by expanding authoritarianism. From Thailand, the Thai Maritime Enforcement Command Center, or TMECC, based in Surat Thani, is reported to have received an SOS message from the rescue center on Tao Island, stating that dive boat was on fire at sea. Then TMECC asked vessels in the area to rush to the scene to rescue the passengers and crew. All except one passenger was rescued. The volunteers also helped to put out the fire, which is reported to have started in the engine room. Still from Thailand, a female defense volunteer was injured when her private car exploded and caught fire in Pattani's Kapur district. Security officials used a drone to inspect the vehicle and surrounding areas, while firefighters tried to extinguish the blaze. An initial investigation has determined that the explosive device was planted near the vehicle's fuel tank.
Now continuing with our second segment, Brazil's President Lula criticizes Trump's tariffs, calls protectionism absurd. Meanwhile, Germany's parliament passed a bill to loosen the country's strict debt rule to enable higher defense spending. Let's take a look. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva criticized tariffs being imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. He described Trump's action as trade protectionism and called the practice absurd. The Brazilian president said all countries that previously talked about free trade are now practicing protectionism. He said Brazil is continuing to defend free trade. Lula also said UN Security Council represents nothing these days with global geopolitical factors change, and the body should be reformed into a 21st century institution. Meanwhile, Germany's parliament passed a bill to loosen the country's strict debt rule to enable higher defense spending. Lawmakers discussed the legislation on Tuesday to revise the basic law equivalent to the country's constitution. It was jointly submitted by the Alliance of the Christian Democratic Union and the Christian Social Union that won last month's general election and the Social Democratic Party, a prospective coalition partner. The bill calls for an easing of rules in the basic law which stipulates a so-called debt break. Still on defense, Canada announced plans to buy an advanced radar system developed in Australia which could become the country's largest ever defense export deal. United States was expected to purchase the world-leading technology first, but after Donald Trump's return to the White House, Canada stepped in. Meanwhile, from India, New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, who arrived in India on Sunday, held talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday, covering various aspects of India-New Zealand relations. Prime Minister Modi hosts a lunch in honor of the visiting dignitary. The visiting minister was also scheduled to meet President Drupadi Murmu. From Ankara, Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan spoke at an iftar gathering with members of the AK Party's Central Executive and Decision-Making Board. He addressed recent efforts to eradicate terrorism completely, stating that the country is nearing the end of a 40-year ordeal. Meanwhile, from Geneva, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus stated that the U.S. administration has been extremely generous for many years and has the right to decide what and to what extent it supports. However, he emphasized that the U.S. also has a responsibility to ensure that if it withdraws direct funding for countries, it does so in an orderly and humane manner, allowing them to secure alternative funding sources. Meanwhile, Syria has taken another significant step in its recovery process after the Assad regime. Following the reopening of Damascus International Airport, Aleppo International Airport has also completed its preparations for international flights. A test flight from Damascus to Aleppo on December 18th revealed the airport's shortcomings, allowing necessary improvements to be identified. The official start of international flights is scheduled for March 18th, with the first flight arriving from Jordan. This marks an important milestone in the rebuilding of Syria's air transport sector. Meanwhile, scientists in China are preparing space mining robots to operate in extreme environments, from microgravity to freezing temperatures, using advanced simulations that replicate the surfaces of asteroids and the moon. Space mining robots face a daunting set of challenges when operating on asteroids, moons, and other celestial bodies. They must contend with microgravity, extreme temperature fluctuations, vacuum conditions, space radiation, and strict weight and size limitations. Meanwhile, job interviews can be critical for those looking to secure a position. A Hong Kong-based tech jobs platform has developed an AI interviewer designed to help train candidates. This tool will be showcased at the Tech Job Fair this weekend. Behind this AI interviewer is 5 years of hard work by a local tech job platform. The model has been trained on 36,000 job openings and 10,000 mock interview videos. In our last segment, Iranian Embassy in Jakarta hosted an Al-Quran Safari from March 14th to 18th, featuring Al-Quran ambassadors and international Qaris from Iran at several mosques and Islamic boarding schools in Indonesia. And also, a report from Bhutan, where the small, naturally beautiful nation is seeking to expand its tourism, enlisting the assistance of Thailand. Let's have a look.
In commemoration of Nuzulul Quran, or the Quran Revelation Day, and to strengthen Al-Quran culture within the society during Ramadan, the Iranian Embassy is holding an event called Haflah Tilawatil Quran. This event features international qaris from the Islamic Republic of Iran, among others Sheikh Hamid Shakirnejad and Sheikh H. Ahmad Al-Bogazem. Iranian ambassador to Indonesia Muhammad Borujerdi emphasized through the Quran Safari universal message of the Quran, which is peace, brotherhoods, once again being echoed, strengthening bonds between Muslims. From Australia, making new friends as an adult can be really tricky, whether you still live where you grew up or have just moved to a different city. But a group of Melbourne-based women has found a solution, and it doesn't involve running, netball, books, or singing. Caps on and coffees in hand, these women are united in one mission only: to make new friends. Turns out they have a lot in common. Hype Girl Social Club has grown to a community that is thousands of women strong. Meanwhile, Thai officials recently invited to serve as tourism consultants for Bhutan, with a focus on improving marketing and tourist accessibility. This effort comes against the backdrop of the Punakha Tsechu Festival, featuring traditional folk dances and mosque performances held at Punakha Dzong, a significant fortress in Bhutan's former capital. The Punakha Suspension Bridge, one of the longest suspension bridges in Bhutan, is another key attraction showcasing the country's blend of natural beauty and culture. Meanwhile, from Australia, most Australians take for granted being able to pop to the store or catch a bus. But in many bush communities, there is no shop and no public transport, making it difficult to access even the most basic goods and services. A long-haul Outback bus service has been set up in northern Western Australia to try to change that. Still from Australia, thousands of people have gathered in Canberra to celebrate the start of the national capital's annual balloon spectacular. Crews and spectators arrived before dawn, before the balloons were inflated and took to the skies. The headline acts of this year's event are these special shapes balloons visiting from the US. The balloon spectacular will continue, weather willing, each morning until March the 23rd. Meanwhile, from Japan, People in Akita Prefecture, northeastern Japan, have flown kites in a festival to mark the first signs of spring as the snow begins to melt. About 130 people gathered in Yuzawa City on Sunday for the event organized by a group of kite enthusiasts. Some brought traditional or handmade kites. They included Yuzawa City's Managu kite, known for its distinctive design with large eyes, and the Tsugaru kite adorned with colorful pictures of samurai warriors. Despite occasional rain, participants checked the wind direction and skillfully flew their kites. From Mongolia, these servicemen are the members of the Legend Band from the 326th Unit of the Armed Forces of Mongolia. They met each other during an art and culture event shortly after they were called up for military service and formed a band called Legend in their unit of the armed forces. Meanwhile, Sikh kofta spicy raw meatballs is a dish that is a regional specialty of southeastern Anatolia in Urfa and Adiyaman cities. The dish is served as an appetizer. It is closely related with kibeh naye from Levantine cuisine. Sikh kofta is common to both Turkish and Armenian cuisine. In Urfa, Sikh kofta is traditionally made with meat, whereas in Adiyaman, it is uniquely prepared without meat. The key to perfection lies in using local ingredients and kneading the bulgur thoroughly. Achieving a smooth texture is essential. From northwest China, a litter of fluffy Tibetan fox cubs has been spotted in Chindu County, Yushu Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture, northwest China's Qinghai Province, captivating viewers with their enduring antics caught on camera. The footage shows the cubs exhibiting a range of playful and curious behaviors, stepping on their bushy tails to stay warm, clumsily scratching their ears with hind legs, dozing peacefully on grassy patches, grooming their fur with tiny tongues, and peering alertly at their surroundings. Meanwhile, the BMC Advisors Northern India Polo Championship 2024 came to an end with a thrilling finale on Sunday, with defending champion Jaipur Delta lifted the trophy once again in a grand ceremony. In a spectacular display of skill and sportsmanship, such tournaments will inspire new generations of polo players in India. The day began with a ceremonial flourish as Rajat Sharma, renowned media personality and chief guest, inaugurated the match by throwing the ball onto the lush green field under a bright sunny sky. This prestigious tournament continues to inspire new generations of polo players, fostering growth and recognition for the sport in India.
That concludes our episode for this week. I'm Sesko Satrio. Thank you for watching and goodbye.